I can assure you that I'm not here to make you dance. I'm the worst dancer in the room here. And secondly, we can talk about food just afterwards. So I'm really passionate about that. So along with me is my colleague Tervesh. So Tervesh is the technical manager for the same region that I cover. And both of us come from Mauritius. So anytime you are planning to come in country, please let us know. That will be a pleasure for us. We look after East Africa, and as a matter of fact, we are very often in Kenya as well. So a lot of you we have had engagements with. So the topic of today is that we are going to talk about security considerations in the cloud management. So we'll try to keep it a bit brief, and by the way, we have a stand that is just on the right of the exit here. So please feel free to pop in, and then we can have a quick discussion. So there has been an evolution. I think this is something that we are all aware of. We have been migrating to the cloud, and again, I heard that this morning, thanks to COVID, that digital acceleration has happened. We have been talking about with people about moving to the cloud. In a lot of African countries, there was total negativity around cloud. No one wanted to hear about cloud. No, I will keep my thing on premise, I can see it, that's it. But nowadays, things have changed, and we need to adapt to that new reality. So, how this has happened? So basically, we have our network perimeter, whereby we used to have our private data centers, all the information was on premise. Then we have our DNS perimeter, where we have our applications that could be running. So we have the platform as a service that can be run, and we have the business perimeter, whereby we have our applications that are running. And this today gives us a lot of flexibility in terms of how we can approach business. So there has been a catalyst. Prior to COVID, the figures that we see on screen here is that we had 31% of people that were regularly working from home. But when the COVID pandemic hit us, we saw that that figure moved to 88 or even more at times. So it depends on the context. So we had to adapt ourselves, shifting to a workforce that does not only work from home, but basically work from anywhere. And to add to that, it's working from anywhere with any device. It's not only corporate-owned, sanctioned laptops, sanctioned devices that these people are using. They are using much more. It could be anything. And this brings to us a lot of challenges. Challenges in the sense that as CIOs, as CISOs, as people responsible for the security within our organizations, we no longer have that same level of comfort to have the visibility on what is happening in those environments. What is that person doing? There's a lot of shadow IT. There's a lot of unsanctioned applications that are being used. So to secure those modern applications today, it's getting more and more complex and less effective in the sense that we have so many point products. There are so many tools that we need to manage. Do we have enough resources to manage those? How do we manage those procurement processes and so on? So it gets very complex. And backhauling everything to the on-premise so doesn't make sense at all, and it's not even scalable. So it doesn't make sense that for us to bring back all that information to the office and then have our security devices that we have invested heavily on to make sure that we can analyze and see what is happening. And lastly, I think everyone who has spoken before me has mentioned that, and I'm sure that you're going to still hear about it in the coming days, weeks. We are always hearing that we have more and more vulnerabilities. The bad guys are getting more and more advanced, so there are so many techniques that they are using. So it's a cat and mouse race whereby we need to always keep pace and make sure that today, fortunately, through AI, through machine learning, we are being able to predict a bit what they are doing. So going forward, my colleague Tervesh will talk a bit about the Jaddoo, which is a bit the buzzword of the moment. So I will let Tervesh speak about the next one.
Thank you, Djamil. Good morning, everybody. So the Jaddoo, nowadays there are two words that is in all the lips of IT people: Zero Trust and SASE. Now the question is, these two words mean the same thing? Do they do the same thing? What it is about? So let me clarify. Zero Trust is firstly from Forrester. And Zero Trust is a framework like, for instance, NIST. And SASE is an architecture. It is an architecture, and it is the future of network security. Zero Trust is not new. Zero Trust exists. Maybe the word is new, but the concept exists since the firewalling age, the networking age, right? Where in firewalls we were doing network segmentation. Reason behind why we were doing network segmentation is because if one portion of the network is breached, the entire organization does not go down. Now, let me try to put it into our day-to-day, right, about what is Zero Trust. Zero Trust say never trust, always verify. You work for a company, and you have a guest coming to your office. So the first level of security, you will have the security guy. The security guy will do the check, the bugs, and get in, and stop here. With Zero Trust, it doesn't work this way. We verify you at the entrance before getting to the office, and once you're in the office, I will be constantly monitoring you. Maybe when the guy gets into office, he needs only to be seated in the boardroom, but he's roaming around to the server room, to the HR offices. Why is that? Zero Trust is based on we always verify the user. Who is the user? Full-time employee, partner, distributor, consultant. Validate every device. Is it company-owned device? Is the device for user-owned? We enforce the least privilege, and we assume that there is a breach, meaning that the employee or the person will get access to the application that he needs to use only. Nothing more, nothing less. He should not even see the application that is there within the company. And Zero Trust, as I said, is a framework, and this should be managed by you. You meaning as a customer. Zero Trust, you have the people, right? If you put it into our context, you have the people is you, me, us. We need to access resources. How do we access to these resources? Is through devices. These devices can be corporate-owned, user-owned, tablets, mobile phones, anything. And of course, we need a network to access these resources. And where does Zero Trust sits in between? It sits between people, devices, network, and the resource that need to be accessed. In Zero Trust, we have two key things. The control is easy. Is either to allow or block, right? And if you allow, maybe you need to display a disclaimer, or if you allow, maybe you need to encrypt the file, right? Whereas for the context is what are the policies that need to be true to allow the user to get access to the resources. Resources being it on-premise, being it on the cloud, being it anywhere it is. So the people get verified. Who is he? What is the role within the organization? Right? Is the device joined to the domain? Right? Is the device owned by the company? The network, is that person joining from a free Wi-Fi? Is that person joining from a remote office? Is that person joining from anywhere in the world? So we need to know whether we can trust this network. And then, of course, we need to make sure that the person get access to resources that he needs only. Now let's give a quick example. Right? I have a full-time employee that needs to access a resource within the organization. Right? I validate the device. I see that the device is domain joined. Okay, I'm fine. I know that this is owned by the company. So it should be clean. It should have the latest patches. It should have antivirus installed. It should have all the features that is needed to be allowed into the network. Right? I trust this network. It is a remote office, so I know that IP, so this is fine. As at now, this is legitimate. And the user needs to access HR application. HR application, since it is an application that contains confidential data, zero trust, as it says, never trust. So I will challenge the user with two-factor. Even though I know that the user is a full-time employee, the machine is joined to the domain, the network is a remote office, I don't find any problem, I don't find any anomalies, but still I challenge the user to be sure that this is the user. So how do we begin that journey of zero trust? Two ways. First of all, we need to assess what you want to protect. Your data. If for some of the organization this is already taken care of, maybe next thing to take into consideration is the access. We do it both. Right. For the time being, I have been talking about zero trust as a framework. I didn't speak about any technology. Us as Broadcom, zero trust, we do it end-to-end. Whether from the endpoint, the network, the email, or even the identity. How we differentiate now? How we differentiate as Symantec, as Broadcom, as MBCom, is that for us, we can apply zero trust, be it a company-owned device or a user-owned device where you can't install any agent. We have the different technologies that allow you to cater for all devices and for all resources, being it on-premise or on the cloud. And of course, you can go with, you can deploy zero trust with any other vendor, right? Your choice. You can go to an endpoint security vendor, say, hey, you know, I want to deploy zero trust with you, fine. You can go, secondly, to an identity security vendor. You will say that, okay, I want to apply the identity part with you, fine. In an ideal world where we have unlimited cache, unlimited resources, unlimited knowledge, that's fine. We can do it. But unfortunately, in our context, we don't have unlimited cache. We don't have unlimited resources, and we find knowledge gaps. So that's why we pitch a platform. That's why we recommend our customers to choose a vendor that can offer you zero trust with different agents, different products might be, but integrated one, so that it is, from the user experience, it's fine. And even for the security guy that need to see the logs, right, to do the forensics, is easy for them. They don't need to go and search for the data in multiple platforms. I will conclude with SASE. So SASE, as I mentioned at the very start, is the new network security that Gartner have in place. It is an architecture, right? And this one compared to zero trust is the responsibility of a vendor. Right? It is sold as network security as a service, right? And you as customers, you manage only the policies. You don't need to take care about the updates, upgrades. We do take care of it, and we do it end to end. And at Broadcom, we might have some limitation, right, when it comes to SASE, when we need to take care of all components. However, we have the integration with other third party and other vendors as well, so that we can complement whatever we are missing into our technology. I'll let Djamil conclude on this one.
Thank you, Rish. In fact, what Rish was mentioning, there is something that came to my mind. When we are talking today about this SASE framework, what we have done at Broadcom, well, maybe this is something that I need to clarify before I go further. You have been hearing MBCom, Broadcom, and Symantec. So a lot of you know Symantec, knew Symantec, you know what we have. Symantec has been a cybersecurity organization, and 3 years back, so Symantec was acquired by an organization called Broadcom, and so today Symantec is a division of Broadcom. So that's why you're hearing Broadcom, Symantec, and MBCom. MBCom is the official representative of Broadcom for the region, so meaning the Middle East, Africa, and Eastern Europe, as well as Russia. So what we have done is that we are using today the platform of Google so that we can give you, our customers, the best experience possible. So compared to other vendors, whereby today we are leveraging on Google, it means that the accessibility, the user experience that you have is much more smoother than having our own data centers where networking, connectivity towards you becomes something difficult. So to conclude, how can I take the journey of an integrated zero trust and SASE architecture? In fact, this is basically, in a nutshell, what are the considerations that we need to take for our cloud journey. Okay. So there are multiple steps. When we are talking about these technologies today, we are not saying, okay, day one, you send APU, day two, everything installed, you're 100% secure. Cybersecurity is a journey, and we need to walk through that journey. It's just the clicker not moving. Someone can help me. It's the clicker that's not moving. Okay, anyway. Okay, so when talking about the journey, so there are multiple technologies that we need to take into consideration to be able to move towards that architecture that we want to have. So first of all, it starts with the endpoint security, which is the base. And even when we are talking only about endpoint security today, it's no longer only the antivirus. Within our endpoint security solution, we have embedded so many other technologies that we need to be able to cover, for example, EDR capabilities, XDR capabilities, advanced threat for directory threat defense. So there is a lot of things. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, now it's better. So we need to look at it from a network and endpoint perspective so that we can consolidate that. We have the email infrastructure part. We have our information security that we need to take care of. So there are multiple components. And unfortunately, due to time constraint, we can talk for hours about this topic. So this is something that we can have a chat afterwards, and definitely we'll engage further, and we can show you all the details about it. Are there any questions in the room with regards to cybersecurity, maybe with regards to this topic or anything in general? So let's be quite interactive. Don't be shy, and maybe there are things that I will not be able to answer, Torvish will be able to answer, or your other peers might be able to answer based on what has been done and so on. So questions. I think there is a mic that could be run. Any questions? So Stacy is just there, so anyone who has a question can move to Stacy. So please don't be shy. Everyone is shy then, we confirm. You know, cybersecurity is such a vast and complex thing that I'm pretty sure that there might be questions, but maybe some shyness somewhere, not willing to give the answers, ask the questions. So if you want to have one-to-one conversations, you know, in confidentiality as well, so we are open to that. So if no questions, thank you very much for your time. We are almost close to lunch break, so I hope, I wish you all a bon appétit, and we'll catch up in the hall. Thank you.
Applications are the primary means to deliver data and services to your users. But digital transformation has changed where these apps are running and how your users are accessing them. So how do you keep easy access without sacrificing security? Our modern identity security platform, anchored on SiteMinder, delivers the critical capabilities you need to protect and manage user and device access. Now, backed by the power of the Symantec Global Intelligence Network, we're combining our vast experience with new innovations that are increasing convenience, security, and velocity. Leverage passwordless authentication to increase user convenience and adoption, to grow your business and optimize productivity. Integrate advanced analytics to enable just-in-time access, to let in legitimate users while preventing unauthorized access. And enable developers to easily embed security into apps and DevOps toolchains, so you can increase security without slowing down your organization. Our identity security platform is now part of a greater Symantec security portfolio, which includes leading endpoint, information, and network security solutions. Together, we're ensuring that you can continue to rely on Symantec to protect your most valuable assets for years to come. Learn more at broadcom.com/identity.